Hey guys, Jag here. Welcome to this week's training. And this week's training is about millionaire mindset. So if you're one of those people who want to take your business and life to the $1 million, this is a must-have training. Your bank account is all the reflection of who you are as a person today. So for you to get it to the next level in life, for you to get to your business to the next level in life, you need to have that millionaire mindset. And I truly believe that this education, which I'm going to share that with you guys, I certainly don't believe, I certainly didn't create it. I just sort of stumbled upon it, and I started to put the patterns together. And then I learned along the way that, holy crap, not most of the people know about this. So I need to start going out and sharing that sort of information with people. Because if everybody knows that, you wouldn't want to work for somebody else after learning these sort of skills. So the industrial age will be in danger. So that's where the problem comes from. But you keep in mind that it doesn't matter what you do today. If you're working for somebody else and want to leave that job and want to start your own business, this training is must have. Or if you want to take your business to the next level, this training is a must have, right? So let's get started. So the first and the foremost, the important thing which I want to talk about today is this, right? So we're going to share something, the conflict we have in 21st century humans. What is this conflict? What's going on with the humans? So I'm not talking about conflict between the humans. I'm talking about conflict within the humans today, these days. How we as humans work. We're going to talk about two sides of the nature. This is very important. Two sides of the human nature. When I say there is positive and negative, good and bad, North Pole and the South Pole. There is always good and bad, beautiful and ugly, all that, two sides of the nature. And what's the reason behind the two sides of nature? And then now at the end, we're sort of going to tackle the biggest question: who you are. What's your identity, right? This is the main question. People usually have this confusion that, who am I? People started to ask this question: who am I? Who am I, right? So this is the identity crisis. Like, we hear it all the time. So I'm going to go through all that today, and then society conflict and the big question: what is the biggest question we have today? So we're going to look at it. So these things, you must understand it if you want to take your business to the next level, because this is that 2 millimeter shift which Tony Robbins talk about all the time. He says that for you to achieve your success or you to achieve your goals, there's always a little tiny bit left. This is that little tiny bit. Once you change that, once you make that shift, life will never be same again. So let's look at it. So what's this conflict I'm talking about? Where is this conflict? Where is this gap? Where's the conflict is today within us today, right? So let's look at this. I want you to actually look at this picture and tell me, what do you think? We're just going to go through some of the pictures, and I'm just going to show you and tell me what you think when you look at that picture, right? Just look at it. So the first one, and tell me the second one. What do you think? What do you think when you look at this picture? What changes in you? What actually comes out when you see this photo? Or do you feel angry? Do you feel sad? Do you feel happy? What do you feel when you see this photo? Let's look at the other one. What do you feel when you see this? What do you think about it? What sort of emotions comes out? Do you feel angry by just looking at it? Do you feel faith? Do you feel special? Do you feel happy? Do you feel grace? What do you feel when you look at it? What about this? What do you feel when you look at this photo? What comes out of you when you look at these kind of photos? This photo, what's coming out, right? What about this? When you look at this photograph, what do you see? I know there's a good food there. There's a different kind of food there. But what feeling you get out of that, right? What do you feel when you see this kind of photo? And what about this? When you see this, what do you feel? What sort of emotions are popping out when you're seeing this sort of stuff, right? So let's look at it. So the only way we can understand is to compare with other, right? That's the way the human or the mind works, right? The mind doesn't see anything unless you compare with something. So if I say, good, there has to be a bad, to good to be justified, because otherwise there is no good, because if there is no evil, if there is no South Pole, there is no North Pole, because there has to be one extreme or the other. The opposite has to be there. So let me give you a very quick example, right? So you want to buy a MacBook for 3,420 euros. So tell me, if you want to buy, unless you live in Europe, if you want to buy a MacBook for 3,420 euros, what would you do first thing, right? If you're watching in this country today, I'm sure what you're going to do is multiply, divide based on your country where you live today, right? So you want to just quickly look at it. Just what does that euros mean? You want to quickly look at it because the reason is you want to compare. You want to compare whether you're getting a good deal or bad deal, because otherwise it does not make sense. By number, it does not make sense at all. So if I say to you, my room temperature is about, I don't know, 200 Fahrenheit. If you live in this part of the world, you have no idea what Fahrenheit stands for. You're just going to say, hang on, what does Celsius means for this? You're going to compare that again with the C, and rather than F, which is Fahrenheit. So you're going to compare that Celsius with Fahrenheit because you want to compare it, understand it, right? That's how your mind works. How we make decisions, this is exactly the same thing. You make decision based on the comparison. Our mind does not understand the simple by seeing it, right? If you walk into a store and you have a stool, you have a chair, you have all sofas, they all are sitting things, right? Your mind has to compare, differentiate. They all are sitting things anyway, but you might want to compare it as well. So let me sort of give you an example. How do we make decisions? So this is the first thing, right? What do you use to see? Give me an answer to this, and you yell out, write it down. If you're hearing me, tell me what do you see? What do you use to see things? What do you use to hear things? If you want to hear something, what do you use? What do you use to touch things? What do you use? What do you use to touch it? And what do you use to smell things? If you want to smell something, what do you use? And what do you use if you want to taste something? What's there? So if your answer was, if I want to touch it, I want to use my fingers. If I want to smell something, I'll use my nose. How do you see stuff? You see by eyes. If you want to taste something, you're going to be using your tongue. And if you want to hear something, you're going to be using your ears. If you answer that, let me give you a bit of information. That answer was wrong. Let me sort of explain that, if that makes sense, right? So I know this is how we feel, right? Yes, of course, I see things with my eyes. Of course, I touch things with my hand. I feel it. Of course, I hear things. Of course, that's what we do. But let me give you all that example, if that sort of not making sense. So let me explain very sort of in a simple term. So when you see something, the eyes is only gathering information. When you hear stuff, your ear is just the gathering information, sending into your brain as a single signal that this is what they're saying. So your brain actually is taking on the information. The only thing our eyes or hairs or smell, the taste, the tongue, or the fingers doing is just taking on the information and passing it on to the brain. That's it. It's just taking it from one side and giving to somebody else. That's what these things do. They're not actually processing the information. The only thing we have in our body which process the information is our brain. So everything else is just there. So think of that as, if you feel any pain on your hand, your brain gets the signal there is a pain somewhere, right? And then it sends a message that, blood is coming out, should you panicking or not. So all that in your body, everywhere else, other than your brain, everything is information gathering. So send back to your brain, and the brain actually relay that information. So every information we take is a perception. So let me explain that in a sort of simple terms as well. So when I say every information we take is just our perception, the reason I say it's a perception, it's the way your brain interprets that information. It's not about the actual information, right? So if you see a tree out there and whole your life, your parents told you that's a banyan tree, and somebody else comes in and say, that's not a banyan tree, that's something else. The name is ABC tree, and they speak in their own language. They're not going to say banyan tree. They're probably going to say something else, right? In their own language. So the tree is exactly the same. Nothing changed in the tree. It's the information you relay, and the name you say, the way you see the tree is exactly different from the other person, right? So let me give you a very quick example of that is memory and imagination creates a perception. So brain does not know if it's a real or memory or imagination, right? So the way the brain works is there's only two, or I showed you the five way we take on information. That was the physical world. But brain also take on the information based on the past, the memory, stored memory you have, and also based on the imagination. So if you can imagine things, you can feel it as well. So brain take on the information as is, no difference between the reality or the imagination. So think of that as if you had some sort of bad thing or pain happened many years ago, which happened in your early childhood, which was really real pain. You lost really somebody who you were really close to. If you go back into that memory lane and you bring that memory back today, it will be like you just feeling that you are in that moment right now. Right? It'll be exactly that way because the feeling and the pain is there. You can bring back that memory. So the information is coming back into your mind, into your brain, even for the incident which happened many, many years ago. So you actually can recall that memory today. And that's the past, but you can actually imagine the future, right? Think about that. Think about it. You want to go on holidays for a month somewhere, say Fiji, you want to go on holidays. What happens is you haven't actually been on holidays. You just booked your ticket. You've done all that sort of work. The moment you do that, you started to feel excited. You started to imagine how and what are you going to be doing. You're going to be sitting on a beach. You're going to be drinking. You're going to be doing all that. Nice sunshine, playing with the kids, all that. Now you have that imagination going on and you feel excited. You feel happy. Nothing changing in the real world. Everything is exactly the same way, but your mind started to tell you about the future. You started to create your future in that. So brain does not have or does not take any other, sorry, the brain takes the information. No difference. He just takes the information. So it doesn't matter how you feed it, whether you feed by nose, by touching, by seeing, or whether you bring back the memories from the past, or whether you create that by using it. So remember, something from painful in the past incident, you'll feel exactly the same way. That's a memory in the past, as I said earlier. That's just not something which is happening right now. So we don't take on information by just with our five senses. We take on the information by memory and by imagination. That's how our brain takes on the information as well. So let me give you a real life example. Right? So for some people, and I'm not talking about you, for some people, if you were called dumb, stupid, not intelligent, don't know how to speak and read and write, they keep playing that incident in their mind today, and they can still feel that they are dumb, they're stupid. They still feel that insignificance today, right now, even that incident happened long time ago. Give you my perfect example. When I was at school, and that was yesterday, day before yesterday, probably. When I was at school, I was told so many times that I don't know how to speak English properly. I don't know. People said to me, my teacher said to me, Jag, you can't speak properly. And that I made up, and I played that story so many times that I just couldn't speak English properly. It just happened so many times. So I keep coming back to the same point, and again and again, relaying that and playing that information as if that was just real, as somebody told me. So think of that example. Somebody might have said that to me. I mean, somebody said that to me when I was only 10, 11 years old, right? That time long ago. It's been 20 years now. Around more than that, but it's about 20 years more than that now, and I'm still living in that. What would you feel, right? It happened a long time ago, but still I can recall that, and I still feel that I don't know how to speak English if I live that way. It happened to me so many years after that as well. I kept doing it. The other example is the placebo effect of the medicines. I don't know if you know that every time a pharmacy release any medicine into the public, they have to go through the placebo effect. They want to make sure that the medicine passes the placebo effect before they release to the market, because they don't want to just give the medicine to people because it might sound good, might look good, or taste good. They want to make sure that medicine has an effect. And believe me, most of the medicine don't pass the placebo effect. What it means that if you haven't seen that before, that people been given this placebo, people been given this medicine, saying that it's actually the medicine which is going to cure whatever disease they have, and they keep taking that medicine, which is nothing more than just the sugar pills. And at the end, they get fined. They think they're fine because they took the medicine. So what happens when they take the medicine, even though it actually not a real medicine, it's just a placebo, it's just a made-up medicine with a sugar coating on top of that. It's not the real medicine. The brain give or release some sort of chemicals which make or cure them from the disease, right? So the placebo effect is the biggest effect we have as humans. We can cure things not by just taking medicine, by just placebo effect, right? So that's the biggest thing. A mind can create that story. A mind can tell you exactly, even though it's not happening in reality, you can make it up in your mind. So here, how we as human create our beliefs. Let's talk about the belief system, right? So how do we, firstly is, you know, these when these things just keep coming up, right? So this is how we see and take on that information, right? So let's look at it. When you keep taking on the information, that creates our belief system, right? So that's basically, doesn't matter which way the information comes from, whether you recall from your memory, whether you imagine it, whether you take on by your five senses, when they compile together, you take or create a belief system based on that, right? You create a belief. So how does a belief system works, right? How do we actually create a beliefs? So let's look at this. This is a perfect example for Facebook, right? I know we all know likes and dislikes, right? So in our mind, in our memory lane, if you talk about it, we store things based on likes and dislikes, positive and negative. That's it. Likes, dislike, positive and negative in the same form. Say, for example, somebody bought you a chocolate when you were little. You just press like so many times, and now you like that person. What it means is, anybody give you a chocolate, next time you love that person, doesn't matter who that person is. On the other hand, some sort of incident happened when somebody bought a chocolate, your mom and dad had a fight in the house because of the chocolate. Now you press dislike, negative, I don't like this. And now you associated having a chocolate is a bad thing, right? So that's how we created our belief system in that space. So the more likes or dislikes you give to any experience in your life, that forms your belief system. So any experience you have in life, you go on holidays, there's terrorist attack happens, and that meant to be by some religious group, which are extreme. You dislike in that space. It's a negative experience. You build a belief on that religion is bad now. Everybody who belongs to that religion is bad, because that built the belief system based on the dislikes and the negativity you associated with that specific experience. So that's how we build our belief system. So right. So now think of that, all the belief you have right now. Things are good or bad. Things you good at or bad, good at, anything. You think of that is you are good at driving a car, or you believe pretty much about everything you should eat on Mondays or you shouldn't eat on Monday. You should eat beef or you shouldn't eat beef. You should do certain things. You should follow certain gods. You should do certain things at certain times. You shouldn't do certain things at certain times. Some things are good, some things are bad. People from this country are not good. People from this country are bad. I can't do this, or I can't do this. I can't speak English. I don't know. I'm good at math. I'm not good at maths. I can't keep money. Money is bad. Money is a root for all evil. Whatever that thing is, that you developed it based on that experience you had in the past. So now think of that as everything in your life is based on that belief system which you acquired long time ago. So whatever your beliefs are, that's your reality today. So let me say that again. Whatever your beliefs are, that's your reality today. So it doesn't matter what it is, Whether you believe that money is root for all evil, or you believe that money is, the best thing you could have, that's your belief. And everything in our life sort of hangs on that belief today. So let's look at certain things, right? So now that's what we've done. So we have a good God and devil or evil on this side, right? One is good, one is bad. We developed it. The reason that's why the mind works. That's how our mind works, and that's how we understand. And let's talk about it very quickly, the two sides of the nature, right? So we created these two sides of nature because that's why our mind understands. We created smart and we made dumb, black and white, past and future, positive and negative, good and bad, right and wrong, success and failure. We did all things because the only way our mind understands it so that it can compare. Otherwise, it's nothing. The incident is nothing. If the black is a black is a black, it can't compare, then black has no use of being black. Basically, if there is no light, then there is no dark, right? So we created that. Our mind understand by differentiating with it, right? So that's why if I talk about $1 million, is it a big amount or a small amount? You're going to compare your bank account. You're going to look at your bank account. If you already have $50 million in your bank account, making one more $1 million is a pretty small amount. If you're already making $50,000 per annum, making making $1 million is a huge amount. So it's a small, large, small, depending how you look at it. Who you are. Now let's look at it. Who you are. And that's the biggest question we've been asking all the time. Who am I? Who am I? Right? So let's look at it. All these things that we go through life asking this question all the time. Who am I? Who we are? Who am I? Right? To find out who am I, we also do the same thing. Opposite side, who I am not. Right? So we all do that, whether you do it consciously or whether you do unconsciously. We all do this. We stack the likes and dislike exactly the way we talked about building a belief. You created that belief early on. Now you're doing the same thing for yourself. I am this, I'm not. I'm this, I'm a computer program. I don't like computers. I love swimming. I hate water. So you and I, we all do that. We create our identity based on that. So every thought of the past and every thought of the future, you stack likes and dislikes for everything. You create a positive, negative for everything. Whatever happened in the past for you and whatever going to happen for the future for you, whatever you're imagining, you create that stack of likes and you stack of dislike. And the total sum of those likes and the total sum of those dislike creates your identity. So if that's identity, say for example, you love MacBook, and you love playing on a MacBook, you want to work in that space, you have so many likes in this space and dislikes, less dislikes in this space, that's your identity. You made it up like that. You said, okay, I am the guy who loves computers. You became your identity now, right? So the weird thing is in the world that we start to believe that this is our identity and we can't change it because you associated the likes and dislikes and the belief system with that. And that's why you started to say, oh, that's who I am now. That's it. I'm not good at math. I'm not good at keeping the money. I'm not good at making the money. I'm not good at this. I'm good at this. You all started to make that up, right? So all that belief system, likes and dislikes, compiled together now, created your identity. Instead of asking now, this is the biggest question, right? So instead of asking or saying, who am I? The better question would be, we start saying, who am I becoming today? Who am I becoming? What am I doing? What am I becoming? Rather than saying, I am this, what am I becoming? Because remember that, right? We as a human being are going from A to B. We're not here to stand still. We're going somewhere. We came from somewhere, or we're going somewhere. So you need to ask this question, what am I becoming? Am I becoming what I'm supposed to be becoming, right? What I wanted to do. Am I becoming that by doing certain things? Because the time comes you want to do something. If you say that, I am not good at speaking English, but you want to become a public speaker, right? So what happened is, because your identity is stuck at you're not good at speaking English, you're never going to be becoming a public speaker in that space. If your identity is saying that, who am I becoming by doing this process? If you're becoming and going through the process and saying, this practice I'm doing right now is going to make me better so that I can become a really good speaker, then you're becoming something, you're walking towards something. So that's where the change of identity happens. If you don't know how to do it, if you keep static, if you keep still, it's going to be still all your life, because it's going to be really hard to get out of that. People are stuck with identities. They just keep them that safe all the time. They want to stay there for a long, long time. They don't want to move from that identity. They want to take that identity and go to grave with that identity, because they are so stringent regarding that identity. They don't want to change it. Like, I'll give you an example, right? So I've got a friend of mine who has been alcoholic for a long, long time. And that guy been drinking alcohol pretty much every night, and he started the age of 25 as drinking every night, not just one or two drinks, talking about lots and lots of drink. He's been alcoholic from last 15, 20 years. He's been doing it for a long time. So that associated with his identity. He made that as his identity, telling that he is an alcoholic now. Because that's been associated with that identity, it's going to be really hard for him to get out of that identity, right? So people do that all the time. So now I really encourage you guys to, instead of saying who you are, ask question, what are you becoming? Where are you heading, right? So because the moment we as a human species started to move somewhere, you started to come or leave the previous identity and start going towards your future, where you're supposed to be going, because we all as a human being need to reach our highest potential. We're supposed to be reaching our highest potential, because we don't actually know where we need to land, right? It's always the highest. It's always the highest. If somebody asks you what is your highest limit, what would you say? Which one would you pick? If the highest limit is about a dollar wise, would you pick $1 million? Or would you pick $100 million? Or would you pick $1 billion? You're definitely going to pick the highest, right? You don't want to limit yourself to a certain amount. You want to say highest, whether it's whatever highest is for you. So we all need to be targeting for highest. The best way you can do it is ask this question, who am I becoming by doing this? So now the next question is the society, conflict, and right and wrong perception. So leaving this here, so society is exactly the same thing. People like you and me compile together, build their belief system in exactly the same way as you and I do as individual human beings. That's why in a society, certain things are good, certain things are bad, because they built that belief system based on that, based on the past experience, based on the positive and negative experiences of their life, and everything made up the belief system for them. And that's where they all got together. So now, I'm just going to cover this much today. And this is what about the millionaire mindset. I've got a lot of stuff to cover as well. But I would like you guys to invite and come and check it out in my next workshop, which I'm going to be doing. So if you haven't registered for that, register it today. I'd love to see you and going through this workshop. And I explain that to you more about this, how does it actually work. So come and meet me in person. Come and say hi. And let's go through these steps in person in one of your cities. I'm going to be coming very soon. So, but thank you for your time and thank you for watching this. I had a lovely time sharing that experience with you guys. I'm sure you're going to have, hope you got a lot out of this, but looking forward to sharing with you that experience with you guys very, very soon. Thank you for watching again, and I'll see you at my workshop very soon.